Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the CGS channel, where today you're going to be ranking all of my videos from 2024. To everyone who celebrates it, Merry Christmas. I know this video will be coming out a couple days after Christmas, but I hope you had a great time. And if you're wondering why I've got a stocking on my head, I wanted to do a Christmas hat, but I don't really have any, but this is the best thing I've got. Guess I'm going to be ordering some new blinds. Anyways, this is going to be a personal, honest and pretty down-to-earth video, so sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack, as we are going to be brutally ranking all my videos. So here is the tier list that we are going to be ranking today. As you can see, I've got all 30 of my videos from this year, not including this one obviously, as well as an unreleased video. Make sure you watch to the end as we talk about why it never got released, as well as the behind the scenes for most of the other videos as well. It's going to be really interesting, but without further ado, let's get onto the tiers. For this tier list, to keep it short and simple, I've already named the tiers as Delete, which I'd like to think that I'm not going to use as none of my videos are bad, apart from quite a lot of them. Clicking off, OK to C tier, Solid Watch, liking and subbing, and telling the grandkids, and obviously the GOAT for S+ tier. Although saying that, the GOAT should really be greatest of 24. One last important thing, if you would like to rank all the videos yourself, the tier list link is at the top of the description just down below, and if you do it, please take a screenshot or photo and send it to me on Instagram. The link for that is also in the description, as I'd love to see your opinions on the videos, and I'll shout out everyone who does it in my next video. But without further ado, let's move on to the first video I've ever done on the channel, playing Minecraft for the first ever time. Although this was my first ever video, it wasn't actually my first ever recording, as I did a couple recordings using my phone as a camera in August 2023 playing Fortnite. Like, that shows you how long I've been in preparation for YouTube for. Speaking of early recordings, nowadays I typically record my videos on Wednesdays, as if I did it much later then I'd really struggle to get the video edited in time for Sundays for my upload day. I uploaded this on the 1st of June. I recorded it on the 29th of January. There are two main reasons as to why it took so long to upload. The first one was lack of consistency, as I was more focused on playing Xbox, going out with my friends rather than editing every single day, which is the complete opposite of what it's like now. And second of all, it took ages to edit this because I had to learn everything from scratch before this video. I'd never done any editing before, or like not properly anyways, in years. And I re-edited this video 3 times because by the time I finished editing the first time, I was like, well, I've improved a bit and the start of the video is like really bad, so I'm going to just restart everything. And I did that 3 different times. And still, the editing was a little bit better towards the end, but still far from what I'm capable of now. Being my first ever video, you kind of expect a couple issues or a couple things to go wrong, and that definitely happened, such as the green screen not working because I didn't realise I had to record my face cam and the gameplay on a separate screen for the green screen to work at all. Volume issues, that was probably the worst of it, as the in-game sounds and effects were just far too loud and my mic was too quiet, and there was points where I was really struggling to hear what I was saying, so I had to put subtitles for a lot of it. I had a really bad pacing as it hardly had anything cut out, and there was a lot of times where there was just nothing really going on. And honestly, I considered re-recording it all because of the volume and green screen issues, but the whole point of the video and the series was me playing Minecraft for the first ever time, and if I re-recorded it, then that would just defeat the whole purpose, so obviously I couldn't do that. I hated my reaction to the creeper death as well. Like, it genuinely scared me, but here it just looks a little fake even if it wasn't. But overall, I'll give myself the benefit of the doubt. For my first ever video, I think the edits were okay, so I'm going to put it low C tier. At the end of my first video, I said this, but I'll be back next week to get the revenge on the creepers. And that is exactly what I set out to do in my second video, getting revenge. Now, this video has the least amount of comments with just 7, and also the short with the least amount of views at just 26. This was my first intro that was outside, which for the time was fine, I guess. I do remember just before going out putting on my Jordan 1s because I wanted to show them off, which in hindsight was a bit stupid because I was wearing shorts and it just doesn't look the best. The pacing in this video was definitely a little bit better than the first one, although still needs to be massively improved. At least for this video, I fixed the audio and green screen issues, and one of the ways I fixed the audio issues is just by turning off the game music, which was good because it also gave me more wiggle room to add in my own music, such as the Terraria music, which also had its own issues as I made it too loud in the editing. This video did have some funny moments, to be fair, such as the door. There we go. The world's best montage. And learning I should keep my mouth shut. I mean, it does a lot of damage when I'm in the water, but it can't throw very far. I remember at the time I was quite proud of all these Simon Cowell edits, but other than that, this is my first video where I had a time limit, and it kind of shows. So for me, I'm going to be clicking off. Now, we move on to my unreleased video. And if you take away this big red question mark, this was kind of a beta thumbnail. This was my first time kind of photoshopping, so it is pretty terrible and it wasn't going to be the final product. But this video was going to be called Driving My Dream Car, and there's a few reasons as to why it didn't become a video. One of them was because I didn't end up driving my dream car. Despite recording this in March, so a few months before actually uploading my first video, this was initially planned to be my third video on the channel, as I wanted a couple Minecraft videos first for consistency reasons. But obviously this never became a video on the channel. But why? So I went to Goodwood, and I'll put some clips up on here now that you would have seen in the video if it was released. And I went there to drive the Aston Martin DB5, which is one of my dream cars. But when I got there was somehow no DB5s for me to drive. So instead they put me in a DB11, which is still a beautiful car, but obviously not the one I wanted to drive and not my dream car. And also this DB11 that I drove was in a pretty horrible colour as well. But anyways, I drove it, still really enjoyed it, but I'm a racer at heart and I wanted to go as fast as I possibly could around the track at Goodwood. But something I probably should have expected is that the instructor was always telling me to slow down, which, as you can imagine, doesn't look that good for the camera. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, but it was alright because I would still be driving another incredible car, the Ariel Atom 3.5. And here is me putting away driving it. So between me and my mum, we bought an onboard camera so I could have some footage for you guys. Overall, this drive went really well. I did get told to slow down again a little bit, but that's kind of expected. So after me and my mum went into the queue to collect the footage, the onboard footage from my drive, and they said that there was no footage. And somehow someone forgot to press record on the camera. So here I expected that we were going to get a full refund so I could go back and then do the lap again, and this time it will be recorded. But we didn't get a full refund. We only got a refund on the camera and not the actual Ariel Atom drive. So then we couldn't afford another one. Going all the way back to Goodwood as well would have been really expensive and time consuming. And overall, just too many things went wrong with the video for me to try and upload it. And although the intro was pretty good, especially for its time, because of all the issues that I had, it's just going to have to go into the delete tier. Sticking on the topic of videos that aren't very good, we move on to my third episode of the Minecraft series, and that is Declaring War. Now, this was the second part of the Getting Revenge recording, but I just separated it into two parts as I thought it was too long, when I could have just maybe trimmed out a little bit more segments if I was a bit more normal. I'm just going to straight up say it. I personally think that this is the worst video that I've ever released, but despite this was the second most viewed video in the whole Minecraft series. And the reason for that is because of a short that I made from one highlight of the video when I took on and died to a witch, and I titled it, "Oh, It's Friendly," and somehow that short kind of blew up, especially when I only had like 30 subscribers at the time, if that. And that short got 10,000 views, which is still by far my most viewed short. I do remember vividly being in Spain when I released that short and seeing it blow up, at least my standards at the time, refreshing it on my phone like every 10 seconds, seeing the views go up every time, getting up to 10k and just thinking, oh my god, it's blown up, I'm famous. Again, there were a couple of good moments, such as that witch death, the Iron Golem surprise. Could I have some milk, please? And insulting the villagers, in particular Frederick. Damn, you are ugly, man. Like, you got a blockhead, you got a massive nose. You're like something out of Harry Potter. You are ugly. Are you of age? FBI, open up! There's just a lot of little things looking back on it now that I really don't like about this video, such as the cuts in between clips just being a little bit too slow, making it look awkward. The pacing was really bad. I remember there was like a whole minute of the video where I was just looking in the crafting table at items that I couldn't even craft. And overall, there was just nothing really else that happened. It felt really lackluster. And like I said earlier, I believe it's my worst video I've ever released. So I'm going to put it at the bottom of D tier, clicking off. Because I've watched all my videos in preparation for this, it's been really eye-opening to see the progress that I've made over the course of the last 7 months on this channel, and it's something that I'm really proud of. Speaking of progress, let's move on to the 4th video, huge progress. Now this was a video that I was quite proud of. I remember finishing the recording and being super happy with how it went, and also really happy with just how much I enjoyed playing Minecraft at this point as well. This is the first video I released on a Sunday, as I'd only just got back from that Spain trip and recovered from food poisoning at the time. But since then, that Sunday uploads have become a normality, as before I would upload my videos on a Saturday. This video, I also announced the introduction of Comment of the Week, or as I called it at the time, the weekly shout out. But I think this is one of the best decisions I've ever made on this platform. However, this video was a little too long. The green screen haze was probably worse in this video than ever before because I didn't know how to use the ULTRAKILL tool in Premiere Pro properly. That's a tongue twister. Again, the pacing wasn't great. However, I did make some huge progress in this episode. So overall, I would say that this is a solid watch. Probably just low B tier. Now we move on to my 5th video in the series, Not Again. Now this is my least viewed video with just currently 175 views and my least liked video at just 15. Despite the lower numbers, I would definitely say this is not my worst video on the channel. In fact, I'd probably say this is the video where my editing took a step up a little bit with little to no mistakes and 3 montages that I did in the video, being the mining montage, the Shack to House montage, and my favourite one, the Night 14 montage, where I finally learned how to combat. The video's editing also took a step up in the intro. This looks so real, I bet you guys didn't even realise this was edited. Although it still could definitely be improved, the pacing was in general much better in this episode. There weren't too many meme edits, but with a channel with less than 100 subs at a time, I would definitely consider liking and subscribing. I also broke my green screen in this video just for the intro too. Ow. The next 2 videos are the other time where I split one recording down into 2 videos, as I thought cramming it all into one video would be a little bit too long and you guys agreed in a poll. Or I could have just cut the video down a little bit more, but I was clearly not comfortable or competent enough to do this at the time. But we're going to be starting off with Diamonds Part 1. The whole point of these 2 episodes was for me to find my first ever diamonds, but I didn't even properly look for them until 12 minutes into the video because I was too busy dying in the now infamous hole. Some of the coal and creating the first ever chapter of story time with CGS by talking about diorite in far too much detail. You know those days where you're just walking along and you're having a nice fish and chips, you know, and all of a sudden a seagull just comes along and just absolutely splatters all over your face, just ruining not just your day, but your entire week. One other issue is that when I went down into the caves, I didn't put too many torches down, so at times the recording was too dark. Although this video was better than my first ever one, at this point the quality should have been higher in my opinion, and because it was part 1 of 2, and spoiler alert, I didn't achieve my only goal for that episode to find diamonds, it naturally makes it worse. So I'm going to put it into C tier, just below it. Now we move on to Diamonds Part 2, where again, spoiler alert, I did actually find diamonds this episode, which automatically makes it better than part 1. For this one, the pacing was much better, and I had more meme edits and funny moments. Plus the victory music when I finally got the diamonds, which was really great, but I can't play now because of copyright reasons. I would say this deserves top of B tier for now, as overall it was a massive improvement from part 1. But do you know what else is massive?
Low taper fade. You know what's crazy is that low taper fade meme is, dude, it is still massive.
But do you know what else is massive? At the end of this video, I talked about a comment telling me to make a portal to another dimension that leads me on to my next episode, signing off. Do you like that segment? Very smart. This intro is so dumb. So I got my green screen onto a tiny Ferris wheel, which did not fit, and it was also really windy. So not only did it break my green screen more, it also injured my dad as he tried to hold the green screen up to make sure it didn't fly off the edge into the sea, and it also looked terrible. It was quite funny looking back on it though. Anyway, the pacing of the video was again much better, and comment of the week now finally had its proper name. Here I spent far too long and far too many resources just for a stupid joke. I am glad I did it though, it was funny. I think anyways, you might disagree. I think that's a good message to make sure I don't fall down. I also put this message across multiple different sites. This is so stupid. Yeah, and I had to manually type out every single one of these. Overall, it was a successful episode of me enchanting and not dying for the first time, finally getting revenge on a witch, and completing the main objective of lighting the Nether portal, making this overall a really solid watch. Next up, the Nether in Minecraft. I had really high hopes for this video, as I added Minecraft to the title, which I thought would help promote it out to more people, which it didn't. And also the recording went terribly for me, with so many deaths, but very entertaining. Another wacky intro, this time of me in the gym, where I then left my car keys and had no way of getting home, which resulted in chapter 2 of the story time with CGS. I think the only negative I have is after losing all my items I'd worked so hard to get in the last few episodes, I was really disheartened, and I tried to cover it up in the recording, but maybe it's just me, but I can see a slight lack of energy and enthusiasm after this, at least for a little bit after. The funny thing is, I put happy and positive music over the top of where I was like quite down to try and cover it up. But the gameplay was very chaotic, meaning I didn't have to add in as many meme edits, and when watching it back in preparation for this video, I was actually really impressed with it, so I'm going to place it at the top of A tier. I knew that I'll be fishing for 24 hours straight for my next Minecraft episode, as I hinted at the end of this episode, but I also knew I wouldn't be able to complete the whole video, like recording and editing, by that weekend. So in the meantime, I thought I'd just record a video on a completely different topic. Well, this decision would change my channel forever, as I recorded ranking the full Terraria soundtrack. I was pretty confident either the 24 hours of fishing or the 100 days in Minecraft, which would be the Minecraft video after that, the episode, would blow up and this Terraria video would just be a bit of a flop, but I was so completely wrong. Like, this video is currently on, I think, 8,400 views, which is almost 5 times like the highest viewed video in the Minecraft series, which just blew my mind. However, saying that, I think this is comfortably my worst ranking video for a few reasons. One, I rushed through a lot of the tracks as I had 56 to rank and I did it all in one episode, and nowadays I'll probably do it in 2 or 3 episodes, which I can see both sides for. I can understand why people would want me to rush through all the tracks, and I can also understand why people would want to see me analyse the tracks a little bit deeper, which is what I'd prefer to do. But if I did that with all the 56 tracks, the video would be like 4 hours long, which also leads me on to point number 2, is that I didn't analyse the tracks very deeply. That is the main reason as to why I didn't use higher level music terminology in that video like I have done with all of my other music rankings. But also the fact that I just was really worried that I could get something wrong and then get the mick taken at me in the comments, and I should have just trusted myself, honestly. And finally, I made the big mistake of listening to the same music for 2 different tracks. So I don't know how I did that. However, saying that, I did introduce Diesel to the channel, and this video was still okay, just a little bit outdated. I'll for sure update it when 1.4.5 comes out. Now we have fishing for 24 hours straight in Minecraft. Wow, what a video. Definitely my most painful one, and the only one I would say I really did not enjoy recording, but my god, I was proud of it. My dad was also very proud of me incorporating him into the intro. This is by far my most viewed and liked Minecraft video, and also my longest video I've ever uploaded at 15 minutes and 28 seconds. The only regret I have, the first 5 minutes or so, was me preparing for it, which I wish was a little shorter, but this was still 2 Minecraft days, which a few months prior would have been a full video in itself. But 27 hours of recording straight, with the only breaks being quick toilet breaks, was so horrid. And then just after I finished recording, I had to go into work until 10 PM on no sleep, and I've been working at this place for almost 4 years now, and this was by far my worst shift ever. I was struggling so much, it was painful to keep my eyes open. And despite all of that, I once again used a victory song, so the video can't even be monetized. But I don't regret using it, as the song works so well when completing the challenge. I will say the montages didn't work out too well due to the animation of catching fish, but the pacing of this video I think was almost perfect. And once again, the ending sequence where I finally hit the 24-hour mark, I think is one of the greatest things I've created ever on the channel. I'm going to be telling my kids, grandkids, and even great-grandkids about this video. Now, you're probably wondering if I'm ever going to do this challenge again. probably, although it does make me feel sick just the thought of it. During that fishing video, I went over the 100 in-game day mark, making the next video I spent 100 days playing Minecraft for the first ever time. This is my first video where I properly used overlay script talking. I mean, I've used it a little bit in the 24 hours of fishing, but this is now always prevalent in my playing Terraria Calamity series. However, there was one issue when I used it in this video. I normally write the script during the editing on my PC. However, for this one, as it was my first one, I wrote it on my phone. So when I was reading out the script, my head was looking down, meaning the mic was too close to my mouth and the audio ended up sounding like this.
Oh, of course I had to ruin the moment. No, it's not diamonds.
Excluding my first ever video, I think I spent more time editing this than any other video on my channel, maybe even more than the 24 hours of fishing. So to see it only get 200 views or so was really quite devastating. But despite the lack of views, I think I summed up the series pretty well. So I'm going to put it at the top of A tier, as at the end of the day, it's just the best bits from all my other videos. But with me now seeing a Terraria video doing much better than any of the Minecraft videos, it really made me rethink and reconsider what content I should do on the channel. And the next one definitely confirmed that, with ranking the Terraria Calamity Soundtrack. This was my most viewed video for almost 4 months, with it now on just over 22,000 views. I got over 700 subscribers just from this. This mini-series single-handedly made bells my favourite musical texture.
Say the line, Bart!
Bells! Yeah! And this video was good. I was still new to ranking tracks, so there were parts I would definitely improve on if I did the video now, which I will redo this video in the future. My biggest regret from this video is knowing that over 22,000 people have seen me with that horrible in-between phase where my beard and sideburns haven't fully grown out and I haven't shaved them. I guess I didn't care as much at the time because I didn't even consider this video blowing up like it did. Despite it getting so many views, the music ranking videos are generally easier to make, and there were obvious improvements that I could make with my reactions, so I'm only going to put it into solid watch just below signing off. However, you guys may disagree when you rank these yourselves. Now we move on to ranking the GOAT Calamity Soundtrack. Just before uploading this video, I hit 1,000 subscribers, which you can see my live reaction to by clicking the card just up here. But part 2 now, and this blew up like none of my videos before and after. I remember it got almost 5,000 views within the first 4 hours, and bear in mind I'd barely gotten 300 subs the week prior, so the growth at this point was just crazy. This video is also my most commented, currently sitting at 622 comments. I just remember being in the kitchen refreshing my phone every 5-10 seconds with my dad and seeing the subs and views going up all the time, and I was just getting so excited. I did make a mistake at the start of this video with Tale of a Cruel World, which I ranked too low, but other than that my reactions I think were better than part 1, but that is partially down to the incredible tracks that were in this video in particular, such as Roar of the Jungle Dragon. Oh wow, I'm ascending. And Stained Brutal Calamity. What?! I remember saying near the end of the video something about what listening to music really means and being quite happy with how I worded that. Like I said, I overall think that this was an improvement from part 1, but the music ranking videos are generally easier to make than the playing videos, especially with my music knowledge. So I'm going to place it into A tier, in between the Never in Minecraft and Not Again. Also, I will say it was really weird looking back at my initial reactions to tracks that I've now heard in-game, such as the Sanctuary theme and Desert Scourge. Now we move on to the grand return. To date, my latest Minecraft episode. I was originally planning on doing one more episode after this before having a break, but this video unfortunately really flopped in terms of views compared to all the Terraria videos I've been making around this time, so I unfortunately took a break from this series a little earlier. But on a more positive note, this was my favourite intro to record. Shout out to my mate for recording this with me, and a gym manager for letting us use this area for free past closing time. Also, this thumbnail was the best one I've made at this point, as I finally started to learn how to use Photoshop. However, something that I haven't learned yet is that I don't always have to have a green screen behind me, or in this case a red wall. I ended up rearranging my whole bedroom just so I can have a blank wall behind me that wasn't white, so I could use the ULTRAKILL tool in Premiere Pro when I literally just could have done it anywhere and edited it in Photoshop. But in terms of the actual video, due to me being better at editing now, it was definitely my most polished Minecraft video I've ever done. The pacing was perfect, And looking back on it now, I'm actually quite proud of it. And I didn't realise my editing was that good considering it was made almost 4 months ago. So for that reason, I'm going to place it into A tier, on par, maybe just below than Nether in Minecraft. The big reason as to why ranking the GOAT Terraria Calamity Soundtrack had so many comments was because of this, my first ever Q&A. And currently my only one, although I will do another one soon. I know that this is a lot of people's favourite video, and I can see why. It was really funny. The intro was the most creative one I've ever done with my trip highlights from Bulgaria. And if you're wondering who this guy is, I don't know. He definitely has no idea he's had the privilege of being on the CGS channel. This was definitely one of my favourite videos to record, despite being really ill for it. I tried to cover it up the best I could, but between all the cuts I was coughing, and slowly throughout the recording, my throat was absolutely dying. It was really painful, that part of it. But that doesn't matter. I would say overall, this is a solid watch, so I'm going to put that right in the middle, but I feel like I just can't put this any higher as it was a lower effort video. This was also the video I set my new 3,000 subscriber goal by the end of the year, which I hit last week. So I'd just like to take a minute to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the CGS channel over the course of the last 7 months. I'm genuinely so happy I've hit both of my subscriber goals this year, because initially it was 1,000 before I moved it to 3,000. But I'll talk about it next week as I don't want to bore you right now. So in the meantime, let's move on to ranking the Terraria INFERNUM soundtrack. In the intro here, I wrote on this Malibu bottle subscribe, but unfortunately can't really see it in the video. This mini-series I think is higher quality than the Calamity one, as I did a bit of research before to make sure I listened to all the tracks in the right order this time, and I'd say a sentence or so as a bit of info as to what song we were going to be listening to. I initially wanted this to be one part, but it got to 3:30 in the morning, I had work at 8:30 I think, and I was starting to get a little bit tired. So because I always want to have loads of energy for my videos, I thought I'd just go to bed now. Right? Nope. Diesel had managed to poo everywhere. This photo does not do it justice as to how much there was. Up the walls, up the stair banister, all over the carpet, around the corner as well, and it stunk so bad. So I was up until 5 AM trying to clean it up, and I still didn't finish, so my mum had to come round the next day and help clear up the rest of it. It was an absolute disaster. Anyways, this is a good video. I would say slightly better than Calamity Part 2 due to the less mistakes. Next up, we have Music Enthusiast shocked by ranking the Terraria INFERNUM soundtrack. So, part 2 of INFERNUM now, and this video had so many bangers in it, and even had the artist of all these tracks, Pimpin' Neon, commenting, which was pretty surreal. It probably had my favourite reaction to any OST on the channel being Idiotic Ancestry. And also this video had the beauty of Storm Before Dawn. This is the most beautiful singing I've ever heard in Terraria. Overall, I would say this video was slightly better than INFERNUM Part 1, so I'm going to place that just above it in A tier. This was unfortunately the video where I announced I'll be postponing the Minecraft series. However, it was also the one where I announced the new series and the next video playing Terraria Calamity for the first ever time. This intro is probably the best thing I've ever made. I knew for ages that I wanted to punch and rip through the Calamity logo, but I'd have to do that with a green screen, and I didn't want to cut the one that I've got right behind me as it cost me like £120 or something, so I just ordered a ton of green paper, which I think I've actually got some here, yeah. Like this sort of stuff. It's quite thick paper. So I stuck lots of paper together using sellotape to make it wide and tall enough, and then attached it to the ceiling using duct tape. I cut lots of little holes in the paper to make sure when I punch through it, it would actually rip through the paper and not just rip it off the ceiling. And after 2 hours of preparation, I just prayed and hoped that everything would go perfectly as I only had one take. And it did. That was perfect. I think that's good. The only negative is that the duct tape did take a little bit of paint off the roof, but oh well. Due to the huge anticipation for this series, this is the first and currently only video where I've done a live premiere for, and I genuinely really enjoyed chatting to, on average, 45 of you live. However, I wasn't very happy with the recording or the thumbnail. The video itself wasn't too bad with the edits, but I just remember finishing the recording, and although I really enjoyed it, I was annoyed at myself as I just didn't feel like I did very well. I guess it was probably my first one, so I didn't exactly know how to structure out the episode, which I think I've mostly nailed now. Adding in the overlay overlay script talking took way longer than I expected it to, which meant I had very little time for meme edits. And overall, despite the incredible intro and there being some really great moments in there, I was honestly a little disappointed in myself when uploading this, so I'm going to place this in the lower end of solid watch. You might think that's a bit harsh, but I'm probably my own biggest hater. I think it's justified. However, saying that, my opinion is very different with part 2, Terraria IDIOT tries to beat Calamity Mod, as I was very proud of how this one turned out. Firstly, this intro was horrible. It was like 2 degrees Celsius outside, and for the final part of it, I went to the beach and laid in the sand with the tripod practically on top of me. But the worst part about this is that that wasn't even the first take, as I'd done the intro already, but when getting ready to go back home as I was freezing cold, I realised that I'd pressed a record button and my mum, who was there to help me at the time, also pressed a record button, so it wasn't filming at all, which was just brilliant. In fairness, that was my fault as I didn't communicate properly, but at least the rest of the recording went a lot more smoothly. Although I was again a little bit disappointed because I didn't beat a boss, I had an extra day off work this week, so I had an extra day of editing and the memes this episode were absolutely on point. I might be giving this a bit too much praise, but I do actually think that this is a low S tier video. Now we move on to my shortest video I've made at just 9 minutes and 29 seconds, how much YouTube pays you for 1,000 subscribers in 2025, because I've just updated the title. This was recorded on my birthday, and overall video I'm quite proud of. A lot of research and head scratching went into this as it was jam-packed with information, but it turned out as good as I could have asked, honestly. However, due to the video type, it wasn't ever really funny or something that's super entertaining like a gaming video, for example. And honestly, the main reasons why I did it in the first place was to educate myself, and also because I knew it was going to be a shorter video to make, so then I could have a potential day off on the weekend as it was my birthday week. So I can't put it too high. I'm going to put it underneath the Q&A in solid watch. Next up, Blood, Sweat and Tears versus the Terraria Calamity Mod, also known as Calamity Part 3, also known as the Desert Scourge episode, which we'll get onto in just a second. This intro looks like I'm in a bush, which is really annoying because I'm actually really high up in a tree. It just looks less impressive than it actually was. Although the edits weren't quite as impressive and abundant as in episode 2 in my opinion, this tops it by having probably the most memorable moment in the whole series, the Desert Scourge War. A combination of being massively underprepared and being completely incompetent while using a keyboard resulted in me trying again and again to beat it for over an hour straight, but eventually we did it.
Yes! Yes! Yeah!
This is a pretty iconic moment, not just in the series, but as the channel as a whole, so it's going to be something I'll be telling the grandkids. Also, just as a side note, at the time I was really proud of this thumbnail. I think now would be a good time to mention as well, as I've done with all my other rankings except ULTRAKILL, these S tiers aren't necessarily in order, as I'll rank them at the end and then decide on the GOAT. Now we've got episode 4, the Terraria Calamity Mod Experience. This intro was pretty funny, with me dressing up as Gru for Halloween, but wasn't anything too impressive. And overall had a similar feeling to the first episode. I wasn't too pleased with how the recording went, but after the editing, I was a little bit happier. I mean, the memes weren't as prevalent as they had been the previous 2 episodes, but the mining montage I did, I was really proud of. This was another video where I didn't manage to defeat any bosses, which is bad, and also the video came out a little bit late because my PC was being very slow, so overall, not my best video, but still a solid watch. Now we have ranking Terraria soundtracks, Wrath of the Gods, Hunt of the Old Gods, plus more. This was a fun video to make. I remember Twisted Garden absolutely blowing my mind. But first, the intro. I must admit I was really running out of ideas at this point, so it was a kind of a last minute decision to do this. As there were only 7 tracks I ranked in this video and 2 of them were fairly short, I tried to analyse the music even deeper than normal, which then resulted in longer segments, which I was then worried people would get bored and click off the video, which did happen a little when looking at the video's analytics. But overall, it was a good video. Surprisingly, the only music ranking video to be beaten on views by a non-music ranking video being Plain Terraria Calamity Part 1. But I think I'll put this in between INFERNUM 1 and 2. Now we have tragedy in Terraria Calamity. The tragic death of the one and only Alfred Rend. But first, one of the most painful intros I've ever recorded. Even before the bin toppled over, I was in a lot of pain as my knees were pressed up so hard against the edge of the bin and my legs were dislocated in a way that was far from normal. Like I'm 6'4", If there's anyone watching that's a similar height to me, try getting into a bin. It is a lot harder than it looks. Actually, maybe don't if you have any sanity. I believe this episode finally saw the removal of the notepad for objectives, which I've been using since the later Minecraft episodes, and now in its place a much more professional looking objective screen. Although this takes absolutely forever to implement into the editing. The episode was going well until the Alfred Wren death, and similarly to when I lost all my items in the Nether in Minecraft video, for a little bit after I was actually pretty down, and you can see that a little in the recording too. But after a bit, things went good again. The tree montage turned out really well, with the overlay script talking being quite funny, as well as completing all my objectives, which included killing 2 bosses and 1 mini-boss. And finally, I do have to mention I made some shorts as normal for this video, and one of them, excluding Minecraft, was my second highest viewed short ever. For some reason, I can't possibly think of a reason why. Although I ran out of time to make a new background for the thumbnail, it's overall my most complex one. Unfortunately, I did have multiple stupid copyright issues, which resulted in the video being a little bit late again. But other than that, it was a great video. I'm going to put it in between the Nether Minecraft and the Grand Return. From one great Terraria Calamity video to another, next up, we've got I'm Addicted to Terraria. This intro, I must admit, was a little bad, I think. There were gale force winds, which I wanted to take advantage of, so I went down to the beach, but I just don't think it looked as great as I hoped. Like I said, this was overall another great video. The underworld luck was unbelievable. Yep, I'm definitely editing that out, that was so bad. I was very proud of myself with the house montage. That went so much better than I ever could have expected. However, the complete opposite can be said about the fights I had against the Eater of Worlds. I introduced a mini objective screen, which now made the editing process 10 times more painful. I tried a slightly different thumbnail, which didn't really work, but at least I know now. But other than that, it was pretty good. Nothing exceptionally amazing, nothing exceptionally bad. I at least had story time with CGS in this episode due to the absolute copyright calamity from the last episode. But I think overall the quality was slightly higher than it overall, so it's going to go just above it again in A tier. But next up, we've got the channel's absolute behemoth, ranking the ULTRAKILL soundtrack. Currently, my highest viewed video at just under 23,500, and my highest liked video at just under 1,700, which is just a massive shock to me. I expected it to do pretty well, but not get anywhere near close to the Calamity music ranking videos, and definitely not surpass it. So with those numbers, I must be pretty happy with the video quality, right? Nope, not one bit. So when I record my gaming and music videos, I have different audio levels for both the desktop and the mic to suit each video. For my music ranking videos, I have the desktop audio on -10.6 and the mic on -8.6, with the YouTube volume at around 50%. I know it's definitely overcomplicated, but that's what I found works for me. For this video, I remember to change the OBS volume, but forgot to change the volume on YouTube, so it's at 100% instead of around 50, and that combined with the ULTRAKILL's OST already being slightly louder than some of the other games OSTs that I've ranked on this channel, such as Terraria Calamity, it resulted in some parts of the video being quite difficult to hear me. And when I realised this in the editing, you don't even know how absolutely devastated I was. Like, this was a pretty accurate representation of me when I found out the audio was messed up. It really sucked and I was really beating myself up about it, but at least I got it fixed for episode 2. Other than that though, the reactions were great, the intro was really good fun to make, any excuse to act like a kid again, but I just can't overlook the audio issues, so I'm going to have to put my most successful video in low B tier. Now we move on to my most recent Terraria Calamity video, which unfortunately really flopped in terms of views, and that is the Calamity Comeback of Dreams. So this intro, I was up in the loft and laying down over the hole, but the ladder that you would use to get up was in the way, and because I didn't really fancy putting my whole body weight on a thin strip of metal, I pushed the ladder back a bit further than it would normally go, making it snap off its hinges. Long story short, I had to jump down, and now there's no way of getting back up into the loft. Whoops. If I thought introducing a mini objective screen was bad, I now had an animation leading up to all of them, as well as a mini objective screen, which honestly took probably 5+ hours to implement all of them into the video. Never want to do that again, even though I know I will have to. This was my third longest recording at around 7.5 hours, all condensed down into 32 minutes, which isn't too bad, albeit with a lot of time lapses, which isn't a bad thing by the way. But overall a successful episode, got most of the objectives complete, the meme edits were good, although I do wish I had a few more hours to add more in, which is like a trend for pretty much all of my Terraria Calamity videos. I think it's a good thumbnail as well, so I'm going to place it at the top of A tier, as overall I believe that this is probably my most polished and professional looking video overall. The penultimate video we're going to be looking at is the Fortnite OG Experience. In my opinion, the most underrated video on the channel. Let's start with the negatives. Despite taking a day off work so I could have another day of recording, I did run out of time for the editing, so I think the bush camping section could have been a bit better. But other than that, I was so proud of this video and I really had high hopes of it blowing up, but unfortunately, it did the complete opposite. I spent so long editing this. In particular, my first game of the OG season getting a 22 kill win, and the montage, which was the best clips from over 150 matches. I do think the thumbnail could have been better by using the official Fortnite OG logo and having the default with the pump closer, which, by the way, was just me playing on my ult on my phone. But other than that, I think that this is one of my best videos ever, so I'm going to place it up in S tier, as I am going to be telling the grandkids about this one. And finally, my most recent video, Music Enthusiast shocked by ranking the ULTRAKILL soundtrack, aka ULTRAKILL Part 2. And I think this is my best ever ranking video. Firstly, the intro was pretty cool. Shout out to my dad for driving the car. It was a 24-minute video, which I think is perfect for a music ranking like this. I don't think anyone has picked up on this, but especially at the start of the video, you can see me squinting a fair bit. That is because I was in a lot of pain in my eyes due to me always looking at screens for this channel, and also having two very bright lights either side of me. This isn't even the first time I've had it either. I've had it a fair few times recently when recording, but luckily after a while it got much better. I ended up finishing the recording for this video at like 2 AM, but overall I was really happy with how it went, enough to make me like and sub. Now all we've got to do is rank the top 4 videos in S tier and decide on the GOAT for 2024. And we're going to do this very quick, starting off in 4th place with Terraria IDIOT tries to beat the CALAMITY Mod. Great edits, but not enough to carry it right to the very top. In 3rd place, we've got Blood, Sweat and Tears versus the CALAMITY Mod. Awesome name, awesome video, brilliant iconic battles against the Desert Scourge, but not quite good enough for the number 2 and number 1 spots. And that is reserved for fishing for 24 hours straight in Minecraft and the Fortnite OG Experience. Which one am I going to give the GOAT? And the greatest of 2024 for the CGS channel goes to fishing for 24 hours straight in Minecraft. The Fortnite OG Experience had my best ever edits in, however it just couldn't compete with fishing for 24 hours straight in Minecraft. 27 hours of footage, all condensed down to tell an incredible story, a journey, the GOAT for the CGS channel in 2024. So here is my finished tier list. I did make this list a little bit more top heavy than I wanted to, as I didn't want to seem big headed at all. Overall, I was really surprised at how my first few Minecraft videos really weren't that great, when at the time I thought they were pretty decent. I wonder if like 7 months down the line from now, I'll be thinking the same about my current videos. A final reminder to make sure you rank all these tracks and to send them to me on Instagram for a guaranteed shout out. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching it all the way through this video. It's been a long one, and good night.